underestimate to read a beautiful letter that Chris Pagan, who started this movement in Puerto Rico, who made all of this possible, and I'd like him to read the words of Chris Pagan.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. My love to you all. My knees are shaking and my heart is throbbing and my soul is definitely bittersweet. It is in pain for the loss of Jorge Steven Lopez, but it's rejoicing when I see you all here, all colors of the spectrum, united in love. My name is Karlo. I don't want to go into detail of who I am because we're here for a bigger purpose. When I'm done, I guess you could come up to me and give me a hug. I need it. But never underestimate a calling that comes from the heart. How far it can travel, or how many lives it can touch. Never question either whether the seeds of love we plant in others will grow. They will. And we may never know the lives we've touched by our acts of compassion and actions motivated by love. I'm going to read you what Christopher Pagan wrote. Christopher Pagan is the gentleman who lives in Puerto Rico that learned about this horrible crime and stood there thinking, what should I do? He decided to write a letter and send it to I Report CNN, and that was where all started. Christopher Pagan is a 24-year-old man who was raised in New York and moved to Puerto Rico since the age of 18. And this is what he wrote. On November 13, the body parts of Jorge Steven Lopez were found on the side of an isolated road in Calle, Puerto Rico. Immediately, the notion that this victim was gay started to circle the local communities in Puerto Rico. As soon as I saw a name, I searched for it on Facebook. Jorge Steven Lopez Mercado. And saw what was a cyber shrine of messages with postings. Rest in peace. You will be missed, etc. As soon as news broke out in regards to the crime, the gay community began to demand information on the case. On Saturday, more information was given as to who it was and that he had been beaten, burned, decapitated, and dismembered. Once the news aired on television, the officer in charge of the investigation at that time, before knowing what we know now about the murder, said, and I quote, "When one chooses this sort of lifestyle, these type of things could happen." End of quote. The gay community was offended that on Puerto Rican television we were called out and marginalized, as if a 19-year-old was asking to be murdered in a gruesome manner. I was moved by all the messages left on his profile, but I was also angry, and that anger fueled me. I never met Jorge, but I doubted at that moment that messages on Facebook was all he wanted. What he wanted was justice and action. I took it upon myself to immediately write a letter of SOS nationwide and worldwide. Sunday morning had turned into 6 a.m. Monday morning. Sending out the letter to media outlets, celebrity activists, as well as human rights organizations. During the entire process of doing so, I became tired and stressed, and I doubted. A voice in my head was telling me that I was wasting my time on a cause that no one outside of Puerto Rico would care about. What I didn't understand was why I was so persistent in doing so. I felt as if someone was pulling me by my ears and telling me to go on until my fingers went numb. 6 o'clock approached. I even caught myself falling asleep. It was time for bed. Around 9 a.m., I was awakened by constant ringtones, my iPhone. Mind you, for me to wake up once I'm sleeping, it has to be an orchestra of ringtones. I was receiving emails from New York, Miami, California, Texas, Atlanta, Chicago, Canada, even Belgium, thanking me for getting the news out to the world, and that they would post my article on iReport CNN. Where one can place news that is not being made public. I was confused. This was only a few hours ago. Suddenly, my letter of help was being posted and placed on front page features on 365gay.com, advocate.com, and other mainstream websites. The media outlets demanded an answer to the questions and concerns of Christopher Pagan on the Jorge Steven case. Suddenly, 10 websites became 20. Then 50, then hundreds. The world was getting to know who Jorge Steven was. Even radio stations were emailing me for information and thoughts and requesting interviews. Puerto Rico and its LGBT community were on the map, and the world was watching and waiting. That Saturday, when I posted my letters, the local Puerto Rican media had not delivered one piece of news about the crime. On Monday, it all changed. Front page news. The LGBT community around the world were uniting to fight and denounce hate and show Puerto Rico that they were not going to be mute, they were not going to be silenced. Jorge's killer was found hours later. The constant pressure on the worldwide press forced the police authorities to act and bring justice to this crime, even when government officials have yet to publicly denounce this crime. The LGBT community of Puerto Rico is completely touched and amazed by the support and love that it has received worldwide. Jorge managed to unite a community, an island, a nation, a planet. He had high hopes to become a prominent figure in the field of beauty and fashion. Not one negative comment has been made by his friends and loved ones. They all seem to agree that all they can remember from Jorge was his constant laughter and his charisma. He dreamed big. He dreamed of fame. Well, now Jorge is an icon, a messenger of change. He will change the way people see bigotry and brutal acts of hate. I never met Jorge, but I can tell you that I feel like he's sitting next to me every second of the day as I write this letter with tears in my eyes. I can feel his presence and his contentment, feeling that justice will be served for him and many others that have suffered this fate. Jorge is the story that made sure it was heard and read. Loud, very loud and clear. Always remember that your most powerful asset in this world is your voice. God bless the world, and God bless the legacy and spirit of Jorge.